Good morning, good morning, good morning. If at this point, like the room you can hear is really quiet, we're going to have to change that because today's program is not like a lot of other programs that we've delivered. This isn't about you coming in here and me taking you through a prescribed curriculum and teaching you how to manage conflict or deliver feedback or deliver performance reviews. This program today has been designed for a completely different purpose. I'm going to be asking you questions also throughout the day, hence the whiteboard over there, and I've got two young ladies that will be on roller skates rolling around to get to you to take some of your feedback, because one of the things Kathy mentioned, and Kathy, thanks so much, and I'll talk more about my relationship with CDCR in a minute, but one of the things that we know is that the entire state has been under a lot of what over the last 7 years? Yes. And so if you're stressed out for a day, what happens? Do you recover the next day? Maybe. Well, if it's one day, maybe. What if you're stressed out for 2 consecutive days, or 3 consecutive days, or a year, or 2 years? And what if, in addition to the stress, there's also this vague sense of uncertainty about our future and money? And we're getting older. Well, you're getting older. I'm getting younger, yeah. At least that's the lie I'm telling, and you can feel free to circulate that. But what that means is that when you've got stress and uncertainty coming together over the course of at least the last 7 years, a lot of things are going to be affecting you, affecting your lives, affecting your health, affecting how you look at things, affecting how you talk to people, affecting how you walk in this room. It was amazing watching some of you come in the room because some of you were clearly stressed out coming in here. Some of you were kind of like, okay, you know why that is? Because all of us have different relationships with how we handle uncertainty and how we handle stress. No one does it perfectly, and today isn't about trying to make everyone do it the same way or do it perfectly. What I would like you to walk out with today, though, is to understand that you've got more control over stress and how you handle change than you think you do. I'm not going to ask for a show of hands because I've been a lot of places, and I have to say, overwhelmingly in our country, people tend to feel victimized and we feel powerless after such a long period of being stressed out and living with an uncertain level of things going on. So we want to turn that around. We'll turn that around by, and I'm going to just kind of step into a Deepak Chopra moment, or maybe Oprah moment for you if that's who you listen to. But we have to start talking about personal power again, don't we? Is there a relationship between stress and personal power? Anybody want to holler out an idea behind that? Stress and personal power have an interesting relationship because when you continue to live under a stressful condition, when you continue to live with uncertainty, do you feel like you have any power? And what happens to human beings when they don't feel like they have any power? They shut down. What else do they do? Did someone say depressed? Yeah. You know that 61% of the United States of America is on some type of anti-anxiety or antidepressant medication. 29% of that number are women between the ages of 29 and about 50-something. Men hovers around about 24, 25%. This is on the website for the Department of Health. So, I mean, you can take the pills, or we can learn how to shift how we think about stress, think about what power we have and how we can appropriately execute that power. Because one of the things that we need to start focusing on is contributing less to our own stress so that we can begin contributing less to the stress of people around us. Because when you say, well, what stresses you out? And some of you would say, the person sitting next to me. This poor woman is the boss of these people. They don't even want to sit with her. So we want to cut down. Yeah, there's more where that came from. But we want to cut down on our own stress, and we want to stop getting on other people's nerves also. Because one of the things that is a casualty of long-term stress and uncertainty is we stop treating one another with value. We stop doing that. And I have to tell you, when things are bad, that's when we probably need to be on our best behavior, but the reality is that it goes the complete other way. When things are uncertain and when we're stressed out, we need each other more. We're not collaborative, we're not treating people as peers, we're not treating them as colleagues, we're treating them, well, badly, right? The please and thank yous fall by the wayside. We stop talking, stop communicating with people, leave things out, overreact. That doesn't create a good team. So even if all the stress and uncertainty went away today, look at the damage we've already done. So today we want to maybe just talk about, get some ideas about how to reverse that. Does that sound like a good 2 hours for you? Well, that did not sound convincing. Can you say that again? So, you know, engage, empower, and inspire is the title that I've given to this program. You know, I've worked with a lot of state facilities. The CDCR is my favorite group, and it's my favorite group because CDCR, their stressors come from multiple sources. And like, for example, the Attorney General's office, the State Franchise Task Force, the DMV, you know, they're all stressed out and dealing with uncertainty as well, but this group has the stress of yourself, you have the stress of the people you're supporting, and then you have the added stress of the inmates and all of the stress that is brought on with that. It's very different. And so I really haven't appreciated my relationship with the state for the last 7 years. But the other thing that sort of empowers me to talk with you about personal power and turning some things around for yourself is I've given, this says 200 workshops, it's more like 300 workshops in the last year around this topic and many others. And so it's interesting, one of the things that happens with stress is we start thinking it's just me and you don't understand me because I'm stressed out. Well, the reality is your stress really is not that different from hers. It might have a different cause, but the feeling and the result is all the same. So it doesn't matter if you're a medical center, which I work with quite a bit, or a city or a county or the state, it's pretty much all the same, and I've been around to many, many, many of those places. I will be continuing to partner with Kathy. This group, the CDCR, you guys are so invested in not only just being well, but reframing your circumstances, and I think that's just great. I've been to a lot of prisons. I've been to a lot of prisons, not in a lot of prisons, so don't get it twisted. It's taken me 100 years to turn my reputation around, you know, being from Detroit and all. So, but I've been to pretty much all the prisons throughout San Diego, LA, Riverside, and San Bernardino counties. And so I've seen a lot there that has helped me continue to rewrite, and reposition programs. So it's really interesting. So today is about engaging you, and that's why your feedback and you sort of hollering out different things is important, because one of the things with stress is you have to speak it to let it go. So you'll have a lot of opportunities to say, this is stressing me out. This is what I would like to do differently. This is how this has been affecting me, because the funny thing about stress is if you don't let it out, there's nowhere else for it to go but to be turned into acid in your stomach, and we don't want that, do we? Do we? Okay, good, okay. Just checking. So I mentioned casualties of stress because when you first get stressed out, what do? What's the progression? You know, you say, oh, I'm having a bad day, right? And you go home and you talk about it to anybody who will listen, right? Maybe you're one of the folks that goes home from the office and then you call all the other people that you work with. That happens a lot. I'm not sure why. It's one of the reasons why I've stopped answering my phone at home at night sometimes. But casualties of ongoing stress and uncertainty, after a while, you really don't know another way because the stress becomes so comfortable. It becomes so familiar and so comfortable to keep talking about it. and keep it going. And you know what else happened? And yeah, and she said this or he said that. And we just keep it going, keep it going. And what begins to happen is that the first casualty is your attitude begins to change. Can I ask, does it change for the better or for the worse? Okay. And how does it look when the attitude changes for the worse? Oh, don't hold back. Jump right in. Yeah. I won't say what she said, but it began with a B and ended with a Y. So, okay. Yes, absolutely. And that might be an improvement for some of the behaviors we've seen, right? Sure, absolutely. So, attitude, what about our behavior? What happens there? Do we behave appropriately? No. And I'm not talking about behaving in a way that's illegal or anything like that. Just courteous, friendly, making eye contact with people, saying thank you and good morning. It doesn't cost you anything to look up and say good morning. Now, I will say to your credit, the majority of this room, when you guys walked in, all said good morning to me and made eye contact with me. That is not true everywhere. People can be so stressed out, they just walk in like this, don't bother me, I can't take anymore. And even when you came in and you were very friendly with us, we did what to you? Stressed you out even more. We said, no, nope, you got to change seats. And we love that, don't we? Because it's not as though we have enough things taken from us, enough authority and power taken from us. Now you can't even decide where you're going to sit. So we said, let's move everybody. Then we said, turn off your phones. And you guys murmured a little more loudly, but you complied, so it was all good. So this is very good for you. This bodes well for you. When it comes to attitude and behavior, how do you change it? And nobody say Xanax or ECT, because that doesn't really work. Not that I know. Don't judge me. How do we change attitude and behavior? One thought at a time, right? So one of the things that I want you to remember for today is watch what comes out of your mouth and look at the reaction you get from how you interact with people, because that's what tells you if your behavior is over the top for them or not. So we have to actually look at them and say, oh, they're still smiling at me, or, oh, look at that, she's crying. Oh, darn, I shouldn't have punched her, right? So the other thing is that workplace respect and basic courtesy go straight out the window as a casualty. In fact, normally we see that happen right off the bat. When we say workplace respect and courtesy, what thoughts come to your mind? Workplace respect and courtesy. I mentioned a few things already. The courtesies, the pleases and thank yous, and opening doors for people. But also it turns out to be how we respond to people, whether we answer the phone or not, how we return emails, because people get very sensitive about the email these days. Oh, can you believe she sent me an email? It was in all caps. How dare she? Well, you know, it's amazing to me how much bad behavior we tolerate because we say, oh, I'm just so stressed out. Oh, I've just been under so much pressure. That's why I behave this way. So the bad behavior becomes its own excuse to have more bad behavior. You get the pattern here, right? So today is about changing some of those patterns. We have to begin with understanding the importance of demonstrations of basic kindness. Because no matter what functions you all have, whether you're EEO or payroll or whoever, it doesn't matter. The bottom line is you're still human beings and you're still providing a service in an organization that most people don't understand and don't appreciate. So this isn't the 70s or 80s anymore. Yes, I was born then. Don't look at me like that. It's not the 70s or 80s anymore where you would walk in with your state badge on in the grocery store and they'd say, oh, you work for the state? Now it's like, oh, you work for the state. Oh, you're entitled. Well, people assume all of these things about folks who work for the state, don't they? You all make $1 million. You all have a golden parachute. You all have these wonderful retirements, because that's all true, right? Yeah. So the reality then becomes, if the kindness that used to come from the community is dissipating, it means that you have to begin stepping that up for yourselves. You know each other quite well. If anybody should respect the work that each of you does, it should be you. Let's try that. Let's start that. Let's continue that. Have you noticed any other casualties that the stress and the uncertainty over the long term has taken from you? Madam? Attendance is one. Yeah?
Your family relationships deteriorate.
Now, tell me about that. I can understand the attendance. What happens with the family relationships?
Take it out on them when you get home.
Yep. It could be your family, it could be your friends, it could be that personal circle that you have, because we take it out on people who we know will take it from us, don't we? And then we turn around when they look like they're not going to take it anymore from us. We turn, oh, you don't understand, I work for the state. I'm like, you're really going to have to come up with another excuse, because this one's getting old. Okay, what other casualties have you experienced? Attention? Retention and just regular staff? Yeah, absolutely. Because you know what? And we've got, how many people do we have here today that have started work with the state within the last year? Yeah. Now see, that's quite a few hands. Can I get some applause for that, please, for the camera? Yeah. It's so interesting, because if you read the newspapers, which I no longer do, if you read the paper tells you what about the state of California? We're going broke, we're going to go out of business, we'll be in receivership, all this stuff. Oh, it's just dreadful, 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 and look, we're hiring. So it's kind of interesting. I mean, it's not an advertisement for anything, but it goes to show that the perception of what goes on here is not reality. So casualties, attendance, relationships, retention, what else? Yes? Yeah. Numb, maybe. Yeah. Just battle fatigue. Yes. Health. Yes, health. If it's one thing I know very well is health, I've been the administrator of 2 large hospitals, and I know that with the state of California, you, not personally, but I'm sure you know someone that works for the state that has had some sort of cardiac event. Because the state of California, you people have heart attacks better than any one other group I know. You have cardiac events, and let's just say, how can I say this respectfully? I think I have a suspicion, I could say, that some state employees have a significant relationship with alcohol. Because some people, oh yeah, you, yeah. I saw you at the lamplighter. I saw you. Because when we're stressed out, if you don't make a choice about how you're going to use the stress, what happens is your body goes into battle mode. And when your body goes into battle mode, it's not working the same way as it normally would be. Digestion is affected. Your heart rate is affected. Your vision is affected. And after a while, what begins to happen is the part of your brain called the amygdala that turns the switch on that says fight or flight. After so long of being stressed out, the switch never goes off. It never goes off. So long-term stress and long-term uncertainty have the potential to rewire your brains and bodies. So you talk about health and attitude, absolutely. And that's an understatement. Any other casualties that you've witnessed? Yes, work quality. With all this stuff going on in people's heads, just getting to work is an achievement. And the fact, well, we don't know how many folks they may have taken out on the highway, but look, they're here, right? So, yeah. Work quality, anything else? Did that happen to you this morning, sir? Okay. Yeah, she ran me off the road. Okay. Any other casualties? Yes. Oh, wow. You should write that in red. Ambition. Wow. What do you think about that? That's kind of a heavy thing, isn't it? I just felt really heavy when she said that. I mean, the health we knew, the attendance we knew, the retention, the fatigue, we got that. But to have somebody say ambition is just driven right out of us, does that happen to us? When ambition is driven out of us, what happens to our lives? You just don't care anymore. Yeah, you become depressed. And if you want to know what not caring looks like, call your cable company, right? Because they don't care. You can barely get them to answer the phone. You know, but when there's no ambition because of work stress and uncertainty, what other